Hey everyone, I'm Kulsum Lakhani. I'm the founder and CEO of Invest to Innovate. The first entrepreneur that we have up to talk to today is Jeremy Higgs. He's the co-founder and chief of operations of EcoEnergy Finance, which is a social enterprise that's providing renewable energy solutions to off-grid communities currently in Sindh province. How did I do on my elevator pitch for you, Jeremy?
That was pretty accurate.
Wasn't it? I'm pretty good like
Yes,
that. All right, so Jeremy,
yes.
can you
I think you've
please?
heard it enough times.
I have heard it enough times. Plus, like as you know, being part of the Accelerator, we're your biggest advocates, right?
Absolutely.
Totally. All right. So, Jeremy, can you do me a favor first and explain to everyone what a Australian dude is doing in Pakistan?
So I've been working here in Pakistan for about 5.5 years now. Um, I came here for 2 months and ended up staying. Quite, I guess, not quite by accident, but I really liked it here and have just extended it for a year and a half, and then it's just been going on and on since then. But yeah, I guess I found something that I'm very passionate about, which is renewable energy. There's a huge opportunity to do great work here.
So, what was your experience like being part of the i2i Accelerator?
So I think it came at a very good time for us because we were preparing to really actually just kick things off. We've been doing a lot of research. So in terms of operationalizing a lot of the research that we had done, it was great. We were connected to people who were a little bit ahead of us, who had been doing a lot of on-the-ground work. So that came very useful. The mentors as well, and being able to understand how do we do rural marketing, how do we do how do we manage our finances, registration, governance, all of these things. So for me and being in that situation allowed me to take those ideas and within the space of a month or two start to implement them within EcoEnergy Finance.
Curiosity. Did you get funding after the i2i Accelerator? And if yes or if not, why do you think that is?
We didn't get funding after the accelerator. I think we were in a bit of a state of flux at the time. We had been thinking of of a non-profit structure to complement our US-based entity. And then I think start of January, so after the second session or at the third weekend, we had sort of had a couple of very tough discussions around this and actually had started leaning more towards a for-profit structure, which we are now pursuing. But we hadn't been approaching it like, I think like a business, even though we have that social impact in mind. We had been approaching from a very development perspective. And so our finances weren't structured in a way that would be of interest to an investor. We weren't looking at things like the gross profit margin, the net profit margin, things like that, which are very important if you look at the sustainability of the organization. And so initially I was disappointed after the investor gathering, but the conversations that I had with people there really pushed me to look at how do we make this organization stronger. We were expecting that we would expand very, very rapidly into a bunch of different districts in Sindh, that we'd reach, let's say 20,000 people by the end of the year, or that we would expand over the course of 2-3 years and then be profitable and sustainable. What we've realized since is that that's not going to work, and we can't access, whether we're a for-profit or a non-profit, it's difficult for us to access that amount of money. So we've kind of scaled things down a bit and said that we're going to work in 2 districts. We're going to do that better than, we're going to pay attention to that so that by the end of the year in these 2 districts, they are going to be turning a profit, which allows us to take that money and then move into a new district. So I think as a result of the investor gathering and the conversations that we had, we've been able to really mature the way that we handle our finances and our financial model.
Yeah, and I think that's actually really interesting because just from the perspective of our learnings and our lessons as i2i, like I think that a lot of people ask like how many of our entrepreneurs got investment afterwards, and we're saying like 3 out of 5 are currently in very serious talks. One is hopefully closing that very soon, and hopefully, inshallah, knock on wood. But what I've realized is that's not our only metric of success when it comes to the accelerator. I think that you guys as a really interesting example, like I think are very successful in terms of how much growth we've seen through the accelerator, but also post the accelerator as being part of it. And that's actually, there's a new accelerator report that was released by the Aspen Network of Development Entrepreneurs and Village Capital that recently talked about how accelerator should also, a huge metric of success is actually not how many get investment, but actually how much revenue growth that you see or how much growth that you see within the program itself. And so I just wanted to make that point because I think that what's interesting about you guys is that from a for-profit, like hard-nosed investor lens, it's really difficult for solar energy enterprises, especially ones that have such a long-term horizon in terms of their returns, to necessarily get like that type of investment. But that doesn't necessarily reflect on the fact that you guys have a really strong model in place. The way that you've thought about your customers and the way that you've thought about your target beneficiaries has been really interesting and nuanced. And the way that I think one of the things that you guys have done well is that you've scaled back. I think one of the number one mistakes that startups make is that they try to scale too quickly. And I think when you're trying to build a market,
Very
you're
tempting.
trying to build. Yeah, very tempting. Because I mean, we have the same problem, right? Like everyone's like, well, where are you going to go next? Like, what country are you going to go next? And for us, we're like, okay, we're going to deep dive deeper into Pakistan first. Like, really try to figure out how we just get entrenched here before we think about our model. But I think for you guys, especially, you're building demand for a product that people did not know existed before. So that takes time and that takes like effort to actually maintain that. And so,
It's
what
true.
would you?
Sorry to interrupt.
Go
We're
ahead.
actually we've been facing a lot of challenges with that in making people understand why should they purchase one of these products. And so part of the slow expansion for us is that we want to make sure that we get that right. We understand what are the nuances, what are the kinds of activities that we need to, promotional marketing activities that we need to run on the ground, actually in places like Tata and Badin, so that people get that. And once we have that right, then we can pick that up and we can translate it into a new geographical area and maybe tweak it a little bit based on their income levels, based on their income sources, things like that. But for us, like if we were to expand so quickly and not know what works, I think we'd just end up bleeding money. And it's not even our money, it's donor money.
And so what would you say, like, I mean, currently, let's talk about where you guys are right now. You're working in 2 villages. So let's kind of talk about the progress first, EcoEnergy Finance outwardly. Like, what have been your biggest milestones that you've hit since you've left the accelerator? And then we'll talk about internally as a team in terms of the growth that you guys have had. And so first, let's talk about external EcoEnergy Finance. How are you guys in terms of the milestones that you've been wanting to hit and in terms of the milestones you've actually hit so far?
Okay. Things have moved a little bit slower than we had initially planned. I think we underestimated just how difficult a lot of this is. But we hired our complete field staff team in March, and we gave them training. So including me, we have 13 full-time staff on board. 5 of those are based in Tata, and 5 of those are in Badin, and then 3 of us in Karachi. So for us, like having a group of people that are passionate about this, that are really committed, and understand what we're doing. Mid-March and meeting all of these people was just amazing in that way, because for so long it had been just Shazia and I and maybe a volunteer or two kind of just going out to these villages every now and then. And with this team, we've been able to actually cover over, in the past 3 months, this team of 10 field staff have covered over 800 villages in Tata and Badin. So they go to 2 different villages every day. They understand what are their energy needs. They look at how many hours of electricity do they have per day, where do they get their money from, things like that. And that allows us to better understand what are the products that are going to meet their needs. So that's a big milestone for us. The other big milestone is that in May, we brought on board 13 retailers. So they're independent shopkeepers based in Tata and Badin, and across all of those 13 retailers, they ordered about, and we delivered about over 300 units to them. So we're now getting a lot of feedback from them about how are they selling, what are customers saying, why are they buying them, why are they not, and this is giving us a lot of direction in how to actually market better, how to promote better? How do we do the branding? Do we need consumer financing partnerships? Do we need retailer financing partnerships? So just getting those products out there, and it was a large amount of products for us to pretty much go from nothing in April to 300 in May was tough, actually. But I think it's been a great milestone, and yeah, I think those are the two main ones. We'll see what happens at the end of June when we do our quarterly review.
That's great. And so, what does success look for you? What does success look like for you guys?
Actually, I was working on this yesterday. So I break it down into a couple of areas. From a very business point of view, it will be how many people are using these products. Essentially, that's how many customers. But when we look at the long term, what's going to be the success for us is a customer that has bought one of these products, how has their prosperity increased? And so we're looking at things like household consumption, asset acquisition, household savings, maybe an aggregate of those, or something like the progress out of poverty indicator, to indicate, as a result of that product, do they have more wealth of some sort? Is it opening up income opportunities for them? And then we're also looking at educational outcomes, the grades and attendance at school of the children, and health outcomes as well, particularly in terms of respiratory illnesses where people are using kerosene, for example. So for us, that is the social impact, but we have certain indicators leading up to that that kind of guide us in the right direction. We haven't had a chance to actually collect a lot of the more social impact-oriented data yet, but we're hoping, I think, in the third quarter of the year that we'll be conducting a study on that.
Mm-hmm. And do you have on you?
I actually have boxes of different products and samples and that we're testing.
So it's like elementary school show and tell.
Yeah, pretty much. But we have 3 products that are on the market at the moment. They're all solar lanterns that are manufactured by D-Light, which is, I believe, the biggest solar light manufacturer in the world. And so we.
And why did you guys choose D-Light?
An opportunity presented itself where we could work with D-Light and their local distributor to take their products to market in these areas. We were able to receive in-depth training on how to do repairs, how to talk about the products, and also pretty much bootstrap the raw marketing that we needed to do. It's also very favorable in the sense that we don't have to import the products because there's already a distributor. So they order them en masse, we get very good prices. So it works very well for us. That being said, we are always on the lookout for products that meet the needs of our customers. So yeah, we're always on the lookout and making sure that we are providing something that is needed. But we're very happy with these products because they're durable and you can throw them off roofs and trees and they don't break.
And that's
very good in a rural area.
Yeah, and that's actually, like, when we talk about D-Light, they're very big on design and human-centered design. So they actually, what's really cool about one of their ads, D-Light ads for East Africa, for Kenya, they actually show an elephant standing on top of the ad, on top of the light, and it not breaking, just to show how durable it is, because that's like a huge issue for customers. So, cool. So, want to show us one of the products?
I can show you 3 if you want. So this is the low end, cheapest. It's the S1. Here we go. So it's meant to be a study light. This has a solar panel on the back. It retails for 1,000 rupees. So it's meant to be something that's very affordable. It's for a lot of people it's a bit of a stretch. Because they may be used to buying a torch for around 300 rupees, but it pays off very quickly because of the durability. And this is actually the most popular product. I had a team meeting this morning, and we got word that within the space of the past 2 weeks, one of our retailers has just sold all of these lights. I think he had about 10 on stock.
That's awesome.
So yeah, they kind of fly out the door, which is great. Here we go. So we have the S10, which is meant to be a little bit like a kerosene lantern or used in the field. Its light kind of diffuses a little bit more. We've had some interest in this as well. We are actually doing something very interesting. We're trying to sort of be innovative with our marketing. And what we've done is one of our guys in the Badin Talka, so sort of central Badin, has actually mounted one of these lights on a chingchi, which is it's a vehicle that it's like a rickshaw or a tuk-tuk, one of those. So they've mounted that on, and so at night or when it gets to evening, they turn it on, and they've had a lot of interest from people in that area who have said that, oh, what's this light on the chingchi? So we're actually hoping that will translate, that awareness will translate into interest in the products.
Cool.
Which we're quite
That's
happy
really
with.
good guerrilla marketing. That's good guerrilla marketing. Okay.
Yeah. And then the sort of flagship product that we have is an S250, which is like this. So it has a mobile charger and then
Awesome.
4 levels of brightness.
Wow. Okay, and that's actually what I wanted to talk to you about. Like, how are customers responding to lights that have mobile chargers attached to them?
So the challenge there is that it has a lot to do with affordability. When someone has bought one of the S250s, they say that it's great because it's bright light, and then we end up saving around 30 rupees per day from it, because if they normally need to charge one of their mobile phones at least once per day, which means that they will spend 10 rupees to get to the nearest major town. They'll spend 10 rupees to charge the phone, and that will take 2-3 hours. So they obviously need to wait around for it to charge. And then it's 10 rupees for them to get back. So one, it's a lot of time that they're spending, and then secondly, it's the cost.
Costly.
So for them, so there is a financial payoff there. The challenge is that it's a very high-end product, so we're not everyone can afford to purchase it. We are looking at some different options as well to sort of bring solar mobile chargers into the hands of more people, particularly retailers or people that are operating shops. We haven't found a lot that are kind of meet the needs or actually meet the use cases and the way that people charge their phones or batteries in these areas. So we may actually have to kind of prototype and hack together something of our own. But we think there's a huge market for this. And we think there's a lot of interest, and it can save people money as well.
Do you think you guys are going to diversify outside of just D-Light? Do you want to include like Barefoot Power or other like solar manufacturers that exist? What about, are there local Pakistani manufacturers yet for these solar products? Or so basically, let's talk through that.
Yeah, we have been talking to different manufacturers. We're really happy with the D-Light products. The feedback that we've gotten on them has been great. There are certain needs that are unmet, either in terms of features or in terms of price points. So we may look at diversifying or slotting in new products. On the high end, I see is where we will probably bring in other manufacturers, just because there's no product there provided by D-Light at the moment. Where we have there's a need for multiple lights, and particularly fans. More than multiple lights, people are saying we want a fan that is affordable. So we are looking at local manufacturers, and we are looking at predominantly China-based manufacturers as well for those fans.
Are there a lot of local manufacturers for solar products right now?
There are a lot of local assemblers. So companies that will import the panels from Canadian Solar and different companies, and they will build custom systems. But the good thing is that they also provide local warranty and things like that. So we don't lose out in that sense.
Great. Thanks so much, Jeremy. And for everyone who's listening, we will be catching up with our other entrepreneurs as well in episodes to come. So thanks.
Thank you.
And cheers from Mocha.